Carmen, ikaw ba yung magpipresent? Ikaw magkocontrol?
Yes, ma'am, just like before.
Okay, sige.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our second WGDP webinar on women's economic empowerment, assisting women MSMEs move their goods during the COVID-19 pandemic. So before we begin, here are the house rules. First, participants other than the speakers and panelists are muted. You may ask questions to the panel via Q&A tab or the chat box. There will be an open forum wherein the questions will be answered. Lastly, help us improve our webinars by answering our survey. The link will be shared to you at the end of the webinar. Kindly indicate in the survey if you would like to receive a copy of the presentations. With that, I will now turn over the screen to Ms. Jeanne Illo, Gender Specialist of UPPAF-RESPOND and our moderator for this afternoon. Ms. Jeanne?
Thank you very much. May also welcome everybody. I'd like to echo Jasmine's welcome to everyone. And I would like to welcome especially our PCW partners, members of the NGRP and RESAP, GAD advocates, and other participants. For those who are attending the WGDP webinars for the first time, let me introduce the webinar series. It is a joint activity of the UP Public Administration Research and Extension Services Foundation, or UPPAF, and this regulatory reform support program for national development, or RESPOND, together with the Philippine Commission on Women, to discuss and hopefully address key concerns of women entrepreneurs in this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. To date, 5 has been planned. The first webinar, which took place on August 28, was held in partnership with the Credit Information Corporation and focused on women MSMEs access to credit. The webinar now is on logistics or moving goods, and this will be followed on October 23 by connectivity and making online business or e-commerce work for women MSMEs, followed in November by digital government services focused on ease of doing business in registering business and land, and lastly in January by alternative work arrangements in the new normal, including working from home or WFH. The first 3 webinars under the series will take off from the results of an online survey of women micro-entrepreneurs assisted under the second phase of the Great Women Project in June 2020. The RESPOND project is supported by a grant from the United States Agency for International Development. As a USAID grantee, UPPAF-RESPOND has designed a program of activities in support of the Women Global Development and Prosperity, or WGDP, initiative of the US government. The RESPOND WGDP program focuses on creating an enabling environment for women's empowerment, the third WGDP pillar, by removing restrictive regulatory barriers through gender-informed and gender-responsive competitiveness-enhancing regulatory reform initiatives. The enabling environment would also address the other 2 WGDP pillars, which are helping women prosper in the workforce and assisting women succeed as entrepreneurs. At the same time that we are promoting WGDP, UPPAF also is promoting the twin goals of gender equality and women's empowerment of the Philippine Magna Carta of Women. Women's economic empowerment is an advocacy issue that UPPAF-RESPOND shares with the PCW and its key women's economic empowerment initiative, the Gender Responsive Economic Transformation, or GREAT Women Project. Now, our program for today will include a brief presentation of highlights of the PCW survey on challenges faced by women micro-entrepreneurs, especially as they relate to logistics. Then there will be the main speaker, or main speech by Dr. Enrico Basilio, our Chief of Party. And this will be immediately followed by the discussions and sharing of experiences of 5 reactors, one from an LGU, Iloilo City, 2 women micro-entrepreneurs, one from Antique, another from Bohol, a logistics association, SMAC, and a representative from a logistic firm, A21. The panel discussion will be followed by an open forum. To start our webinar, Carmen or Carms M. Lopez will present findings from the PCW GREAT Women II survey, highlighting logistics-related results. Carmen is the officer in charge, is the assistant project manager of the Government of Canada-funded GREAT Women Project Phase 2. Carms Lopez considers herself as a feminist, a gender specialist, and development worker based in Manila. In 2013, she was awarded as one of the 50 outstanding alumni of the Manila Science High School for being a young achiever and for her work in social development and nation building. Carmen?
Good afternoon, Ms. Jeanne. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for this opportunity that you have given us to join this activity. We are from the Supporting Women's Economic Empowerment in the Philippines project, as Ms. Jeanne mentioned. So this is the GREAT Women Project 2, being executed by the Philippine Commission on Women, the national machinery for gender equality and women's empowerment in the country, with support from Canada. And now we're just happy to be working with the US-funded RESPOND project. So what we do is to basically help out in the improvement of the economic empowerment of women micro-entrepreneurs and their workers. So we do this by direct assistance to women micro-entrepreneurs, and of course, assisting government agencies and other private sector partners in order to have a better economic, enabling economic empowerment ecosystem in the Philippines. So last June to July, so we had a study on the immediate effects of COVID-19 on the women that we were supporting. So we did a survey, we did some interviews, and at the same time, triangulated the data through roundtable discussions that we conducted with various industry stakeholders. Mostly the participants, of course, are coming from the regions that we support, and we are only focused on 4 industries. So from coffee, cacao, home style and wearables, processed fruits and nuts, and select high-value crops. And what we found out are these numbers. So basically, in terms of business operations, most of the women, or a majority of them, are not operational, or if they are operational, you would see that they are only 25% operating. Quite distinctively, there are those who continue to operate 100%, remain 100% operational, 20 of them from different industries, but mostly these were the ones in the food sector. So the ones actually producing flour-based products, or those sweet desserts that we all love. So they were the ones who continued to operate, but the rest were in serious trouble, or were encountering challenges. In terms of sales, because of no operations, this meant no sales for them. So a lot of them, 124 among those whom we surveyed, reported that they had no sales. And then for those who had sales, they have lesser than their usual sales from last year. So again, there are outliers whose the women micro enterprises whose sales have increased, about 10 of them. These were the ones producing Sansreval and Yummy Sweet. In terms of challenges, when we asked them, I think this is the highlight now of what we will discuss throughout this afternoon. Of course, number one is on sales, but second in the list that we were able to find out is that in one of their challenges is on delivery or transport of their goods. This is because of the interagency task force lockdown measures put in place, the quarantine. So we were in enhanced community quarantine and then eventually to modified enhanced community quarantine. And now we're still in general community quarantine. So delivery, and then aside from this, the other ones that came about, as you will see, are all related to cash flow or to their income. So we have the sales, their dues and obligations, and at the same time, they didn't have access to sources of income. So ability to travel is also there, as I emphasized a few moments ago, that you cannot move from one province to another or from one municipality to the next. So from us, from the Philippine Commission on Women, we were also able to identify various gender-related issues and concerns that they had to face during the quarantine. Some of those are highlighted below. So because of being on lockdown, they had increased responsibilities at home. And they had also issues on accessing sexual and reproductive health services. This can also be attributed to the difficulty in transport or in transportation, because they could not go to their health centers. There were no available transportation along the way. So breaking it down further, the data that we had, the mean score, meaning these are the regions or these are the ones who identified the transport as a problem. So the highest mean score that we got is from Region 12, followed by Region 3, surprisingly, so the central Luzon area. And then again from Mindanao, from Region 11, they scored high in this. And quite interestingly, the most affected industry cluster in terms of delivery and transport of goods is the coffee sector, who scored 4.38, followed by the rest of the industries that we're supporting. It is to be noted that in the roundtable discussion with coffee industry stakeholders, they said that it was difficult to move coffee because unlike other goods which you can use private vehicles to transport, like cacao or other food products, in coffee they could not just put it in private vehicles because coffee as a bean is hygroscopic, or it absorbs the smell or the of the different varieties or whatever it is together with. So if you will put coffee together with chicken, it will smell like chicken and taste like chicken eventually. So yeah, so that's it for the results of the study that we conducted. So we look forward to finding ways on how to address these through this webinar that we're having right now. Thank you. Ms. Jeanne.
Sorry, I keep on muting myself. Thank you, Carmen. Now, I take great pleasure in presenting our Chief of Party, Dr. Enrico Basilio, who is an associate professor at the University of the Philippines National College of Public Administration and Governance, or NCPAG. He led an earlier USAID project, COMPETE, which aimed to enhance competitiveness of industries. He had also been instrumental in pursuing reforms in the country's logistic and shipping policies, especially the roll-on, roll-off or RORO policy issued in 2003. He was appointed as alternate Philippine representative to the ASEAN High-Level Task Force on Connectivity, which crafted the ASEAN Master Plan on Connectivity. Henry obtained his bachelor's degree in economics from the University of Santo Tomas, a master's degree in applied business economics from the University of Asia and the Pacific, and a doctorate degree in public administration from the University of the Philippines. Henry?
Good. Thank you, Jeanne, for that very nice introduction. Good afternoon to everyone. I feel at home. Let me start by saying that, not only because I'm physically at home, but because I am the only thorn, it seems, among the roses in the panel. So there are 6 women in the panel, and I'm the only thorn, which is similar to what I have here at home. I have my wife and my 4 daughters, so I'm so used to talking to women, to say the least. So let me now start with my presentation. Okay, so this afternoon, my topic is to assist women, micro, small, and medium enterprises move their goods during the COVID-19 pandemic. And let me start with a summary. Number 1, we already have and we already feel the economic impact of COVID-19. So in so short a time, it has provided a lot of negative implication on the Philippine economy. And because of this social distancing, more and more the economy is moving towards a digital economy, where most things will have to be done electronically or digitally. So we'll have e-commerce, telecommuting, e-learning, and even dealing with government has to be done electronically. And having said this, we need to improve and invest more on ICT and transport logistics infrastructure to support and promote the so-called digital economy. Now, I'll be discussing later formal online business models and platforms that is so prevalent today. We've had them even before, but the COVID-19 basically highlighted these models these days. And I will also try to point out what I've observed, what I call the rise of informal supply chain. And I will end by discussing some challenges. Carmen mentioned earlier the problems or bottlenecks in moving certain goods, which affect basically the supply chain. So I'm gonna discuss the project activities of RESPOND related to supply chain and doing business. Okay, so this is my summary, but this also serves as the outline for my presentation. Okay, so let me start by saying that early this year, we had a visitor called coronavirus 19. And today, after 6 months, the question is the curve flattening? Well, there are encouraging signs because the reproductive rate of COVID-19, it seems, has gone down to less than 1, so which is about 0.96. It's reproducing still, but at a lower rate or slower phase. And then you have the positivity rate, which also went down from 19% to 12%. So that means those being tested turns out to be negative, not positive. So will we not have new cases? We will, but the rate of increase is already at a decelerating phase. So, and I hope that this will continue.
And will you shift to
Yes.
power? The
Oh,
slides,
yes.
please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. And before I leave this slide, let me just share with you a very interesting figure that I got from the presentation of Dr. Aldaba in one of our webinars weeks ago. No? And he was comparing the 2019 and 2010 death rates. No? Of course, death is always sad news. No? But here, this data shows that despite COVID-19, it seems that our death rate for the first 6 months, or 6 months of the year is lower compared to 2019. Okay, so because of COVID-19, government had to respond, and we experienced the lockdown. We had the enhanced community quarantine. Comparing ourselves with our neighbors in Asia, it seems that we are one of the countries, no, together with Malaysia, with the most stringent response from the government in terms of lockdown. And this basically affected our ability to move. And as you can see in this slide, other countries have started to be mobile. No? So in terms of driving around and even walking and visiting transport stations. No? But it seems that the Philippines until now is very, very cautious. And just to highlight the impact of this decline in mobility, one of the most affected industries in the transport sector, of course, on the land side, the provincial buses, and even in Metro Manila because of the lockdown. But airline, the aviation industry is one of those that was heavily hit by the lockdown. And as you can see here, for on an average of about 270, 280 flights a day, we are down to less than 15 flights a day. And we also saw, of course, because this is related to logistics, the rise in air freight service. No? So this COVID-19 also gave birth to what is referred to now as the freighters, no? Where passenger aircrafts are converted as freight planes, okay, as you can see on the picture. Now, the impact of COVID-19, well, there are a lot of reports that have already came out with the possible forecast on the impact. The Asian Development Bank says that it can range between $2 trillion to $4.1 trillion globally. And of course, global trade will go down, not only because of the trade war, but mainly because of COVID-19. And the Philippines may lose between 276 billion to 2.5 trillion, according to the study of Abrigo et al. And job losses are more than 10 million. We already noted that the second quarter of this year, 2020, our GDP declined by almost 17%. And the main contributors to this decline is the drop in manufacturing by 21%, construction by 33%, which used to grow by a robust rate of 11% pre-COVID. And then, as I've said, the transportation by almost 60%. On the supply side, the only positive is the agriculture sector. But look, agriculture sector only accounts for less than 10% of our gross domestic product, or the Philippine economic output. No? Industry went down by 22% and services by 15%. On the demand side, household consumption went down by almost 16%. And bear in mind that recall that the consumption accounts for more than 70% of our GDP on the expenditure side. Okay, so now enters the digital economy with COVID-19 and with the imposition of social distancing and lockdown measures. Digitalization is no longer an option. It has become an imperative. It is the only option for meetings, for most work arrangements and for learning. But I think Dr. Stanislao forgot to add that it's has become very important for doing business e-commerce. No? So here we are talking of doing business, e-commerce, telecommuting, which is work from home arrangement, online working, e-learning, e-education, online learning, and then dealing with government. No? So we have the electronic business one-stop shop, because when you have to register or renew your registration for your business permits and the like, more and more these transactions will have to be done online, and so even the payment system will have to be done online. And as I've mentioned in my summary, this has to be supported by an efficient ICT and transport logistics infrastructure. Now, because of COVID, e-commerce in the country has increased. So the number of Filipino online shoppers before COVID was almost 38 million, but today it's almost 50 million. Preferred payment method right now, I mean before COVID, 47% cash, and bank transfers only about 42%. But today, because of COVID, the preferred method of payment is 74%. And thankfully, you know, the payment for cash transfers, bank transfers, has been waived. No, before. That's why there's a new memorandum circular saying that this will have to be extended, no, because the free bank transfers is supposed to end by this month. Okay, so there are a lot of e-commerce models, B2B, business to business. When you are supplying business, let's say you're a raw material producer, you want to do business with other business establishments, so you do a business to business. No? But so we know this, and it has been with us for almost more than 2 decades already. But right now, my presentation will focus on the other business models, which has to do with the business to consumer and even consumer to consumer transactions, no? And a mix between B2C and C2C. Okay, so let me just highlight the fact that by 2025, the e-commerce size in the country is supposed to already reach about $12 billion. Okay, and what do we need? We need connectivity. We need our gadgets, computers, cell phones, and even tablets. And then the development of online platforms, whether website or apps for mobile cell phones, and physical distribution. Because while we can do online transactions, buying and selling of stuff and goods, at the end of the day, all these products will have to be physically distributed, and still the challenge of unhampered movement of goods become important. So as I've said, we have to invest more on ICT and infrastructure development to support this. Before COVID, before the lockdown, there were only about less than 2,000 registered online businesses, businesses that are doing online transactions. But today, after the lockdown, it has increased more than 40 times, more than 75,000 Philippine online businesses have been registered. And basically, this brings us to an issue which has to do with the dispute resolution. So there has to be an online dispute resolution that must be put in place to address problems arising from online business transactions. And the Project RESPOND is doing something about it. We have a program with the Department of Trade and Industry that is supposed to develop a national online complaints, feedback, and monitoring mechanism. Now, traditional B2C, we have them for more than 2 decades, or probably, yeah, more than 2 decades. We want something we can order and take out for deliveries. So we have these traditional systems. But what I would like to highlight right now, especially during this time of pandemic, is that there are now delivery services now outside of those deliveries that are being provided by the companies or the sellers themselves, like Jollibee, McDonald's, and the like. So here, if I'm referring to brands, there's no intention on my part to advertise. No? So I'm just mentioning them just for purposes of giving you examples. Now, so for example, if I want now to order food for takeout, I can use Food Panda, Grab Food, and Lalamove. So they are the ones who will go to the establishments to buy the food for me. And they can deliver it door to door, of course, for a fee. And payment methods can be credit card, GrabPay, or cash on delivery. Now there's Metromart and GrabMart. No? So these are basically for groceries. No? So again, if I want other goods other than food, household supplies, etc., I can shop at Metromart and GrabMart. And they'll be the one to get in touch with the establishments, and they can deliver. And all I have to do is use the my gadgets, whether computer or mobile phone, visit the website or use the app, the application platform, and voila, I can already transact online. But then again, the physical delivery will have to be done physically. No? And this is in many cases because of the lockdown before, we enter into certain difficulties and challenges. Now for fashion and beauty, suppliers, no? MSMEs, women, those of you, the women entrepreneurs, MSMEs can supply, no, to the online stores. No? On the other hand, consumers can buy from these online stores, again, using the website, using the gadgets, mobile phone, and iPads and computers, do online transaction with the online stores. There are a number of ways by which a payment can be made. It can be cash on delivery, can be through PayPal or credit card, debit card, wallet, store credit, GCash, GrabPay. So there's a host of choices. And then the delivery methods that can be door to door, it can be pick up at the partner sites. And then, of course, there will have to be a mechanism by which refund and return and exchange can also be done. Okay, groceries and medicines, online stores, you have Pure Gold, Landers, SNR, Mercury Drug, and all the like, suppliers, MSMEs, again, can supply to these online stores. Same thing, so we can transact online. It can also be picked up or brought to our doorstep, door to door, and the delivery fee varies from each store. Okay, so these are the B2C that we are now using, which is more than the traditional B2C that we are so used 2 decades ago, which is basically limited to food deliveries from fast food chains. Now, in my outline, I alluded to the rise of the informal supply chain. So now I'm shifting to C2C, consumer to consumer, because of COVID. When the lockdown was imposed 6 months ago, I was a bit worried about where to get our food, and our necessities. Only to my surprise, I learned that many of my neighbors in the village started offering food and other stuff, and we have this marketplace, which is based at the village level. No? So I don't live in South Green Heights. No? So, but this is another example of a marketplace that is based or that operates in a village. No? So try to imagine one of my neighbors would bake cupcakes, and just through Viber, we'll offer it to, so we have a Viber group, we'll offer it to the neighbors, including myself. And well, it can be, you can pay cash on delivery, or we can also do it online. And then the husband, using his own car, will deliver at our doorstep. No? So, and then of course, there's concern about product quality and standard. No? So this is one big concern for government and for consumers. No? So because what standards are being used, no? And being observed by those who offer these products, no? Whether food or non-food. But at least in our village, when they advertise, along with it is some sort of an assurance that that these products, especially the food products, were prepared, no, with utmost care, and observing the necessary protocols, no, to ensure the safety of the product to be sold and consumed. Okay, now C2C, this now has to do with a more formal way of doing it. You have websites and social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter. So you have also Facebook Marketplace, Carousel, where suppliers, whether firms or even consumers or household members, can offer to sell stuff, no, in this marketplace. So for example, I have a gadget that I don't use anymore. It's pre-owned, so I can offer it as a second-hand product, no, item in Instagram, and if somebody's interested, I can it can be bought, no? And so I can sell it. So consumer can also participate in these platforms when they want to actually offer and sell something, no? So it's not only limited to firms and MSMEs, but as I've said, even consumers have access to this kind of a market model. Okay, so mixed, because you have consumers being able to also sell to online stores like Shopee and Lazada. MSMEs can also offer goods, no, to these platforms, and consumers can buy, no, from these marketplaces. And as I've said, in terms of payment methods, there are a number, no? So here I think remittance, no, the remittance centers, you can pay using Cebuana, for example, or even 7-Eleven, which act as a remittance center. Okay, or you can do bank transfer. Okay. Here, distribution of online purchases, 47% online marketplace. No? Examples of these are Shopee, Lazada, 26% retailers website. So, for example, I have a friend who manufactures bags. They used to have a stall, no, in malls, no? But since nobody's visiting the malls these days, she was forced to adopt the online system, and so now she's basically in touch with these marketplaces, and she's selling online. Direct to consumer, yes, this, because she has her own network of friends, and so she can send messages to us and say that, hey, if you want to buy, you can buy directly from me, and I can have it delivered to your doorstep. And so with all these available platforms, I was able to buy already my own Mongte from Shopee. So here, for the benefit of Miss Jeanne Illo, who's not watching a lot of Korean dramas, Mongte is a doll that is so popular in that IONTBO K-drama. It's okay not to be okay drama. So if you want, you can get your own Mongte. Okay, cashback. What is cashback? It's related to or linked to Shopback. So it's like another platform, another marketplace where you can transact, buy your stuff, and every time you do it, you get a discount or a form of a rebate, which you can apply on your next purchase. So your next purchase, it's like a coupon that accumulates, and you can use it for discount purposes. Or if you have accumulated enough, you can have it transferred to your bank account. So cashback basically rewards program that allow online shoppers to receive a small percentage of their purchases on the platform. Okay, it's September 25, 3 months to go before Christmas. So if you're a godparent, what will you do if there's no Christmas parties where your grandchild will meet you physically? What can you do? Well, you can give your gift in the form of cash transfer, using GCash or PayMaya, or you can do bank transfer, or you can do your online shopping and have it delivered to the doorstep of your grandchild or grandchildren. Now, if you're a supplier, and many of you who are listening to me are MSMEs and women entrepreneurs, yes, you can participate as a supplier in the online market using the online platforms where consumers now would have access to your goods digitally and have it delivered, of course, physically. Now, the government, because of the lockdown, also implemented the program. So they organized these Kadiwa mobile markets, which is similar to what we used to have even before the lockdown, the Sunday market or the Friday night market. But right now, at least in our subdivision, every week we have this mobile market. So where we can buy fresh produce, and this is a way of helping our farmers too, so that they can find the market for their produce. Respond is a USAID project, but we have a sister project called Deliver, and they've developed this Deliver E online platform for agriculture. So it's a digital platform that is designed to connect farmers to buyers, using an end-to-end market-based system. So more and more we are seeing these types of applications and platforms that purports to aid the matching of supply and demand. Now, let me end by discussing the challenges, because I've already discussed the systems of how business is done online these days, especially during this time of pandemic. But there are challenges, as mentioned by Carmen in her presentation earlier, about the hampered movement of goods. So the challenge is to make it unhampered. in terms of moving goods, and then to streamline regulatory processes to reduce barriers to trade and enhance e-commerce by investing more on ICT and transport infrastructures to improve connectivity. So RESPOND, as already discussed by Jeanne, is a 5-year project which started last year. UP Public Administration Foundation is implementing it, and USAID is supporting it. And the overall goal of this project is to improve the environment for trade and investment by reducing barriers to market entry. This calls for the easing of doing business and increasing market competition, and then also strengthening regulatory quality in terms of governance and enhancing citizen participation in reform advocacies. So we noted that because of the lockdown, especially during the months of March, April, May, where we had checkpoints, etc. So goods, the movement of goods were really restricted and hampered. So what RESPOND did was to offer a solution to the interagency task force and the National Economic Development Authority by developing what is called the Supply Chain Analytics Dashboard and Mobile Incident Reporter app. So this app, you can download it. It's available in Google Play, App Store, and if you want, you can download it via iatf-scan.net. And what it does is it allows you to report an incident related to supply chain bottlenecks, so that your report will be processed and then sent to the command center of the IATF. So there's a team that monitors this dashboard, okay, and all the reports are basically given to concerned agencies for action. Okay, so this is one solution that that we did to address the hampered movement of goods. And then we also organized a series of webinars to be able to generate concerns and issues pertaining to logistics and supply chain. And one of these is the high cost of shipping. And as a result of this effort, the Department of Transportation issued department orders that addresses these concerns. And recently, just last month, there was a joint memorandum circular that was issued by the Philippine Ports Authority, by the Department of Trade and Transportation, Department of Finance, and the Department of Trade and Industry, basically mandating now online filing, processing, and payment of port charges, cargo handling charges, and even customs taxes and duties. So this will have to be done online to basically minimize face-to-face transactions. And as I've said, this is a way to basically force the issue of going into digital economy. The second issue has to do with the regulatory processes, and let me direct your attention to the lowest portion on the left side of the screen. This is what Arta referred to as the horror slide, because see, for example, if you want to put up a telco tower, you need to comply with 60 regulatory requirements from 10 offices. If you want to do business on the housing sector, you need to get 78 permits that will require 146 signatures and the submission of more than 370 documents from 27 offices. So the Anti-Red Tape Authority is now implementing what is called the National Effort for the Harmonization of Efficient Measures of Interrelated Agencies, or NEHEMAYA, which purports to reduce regulatory burdens by 52%. in 52 weeks. So RESPOND project is basically assisting ARTA in the implementation of Nehemiah. And these are the priority sectors. You have connectivity, which is related to our topic today, and then also logistics. Okay, and but all these efforts that I've mentioned happen at the national level, but we also help LGUs, the local government units at the local government level, and we've already started helping Pasig City in trying to re-engineer its business processes. And right now, the city government of Pasig is already implementing the action plan that was a result of our technical assistance to reduce regulatory burdens and also to reduce regulatory costs and time needed to be in business. And then reduced barriers to trade, because right now we are consuming more and more products that are domestically produced. So because to import and even to export is so difficult these days. But there are certain cases that we have to import certain things, and when we do that, it has to be in an efficient and effective manner, and therefore our intervention has to do with reducing the barriers to trade by addressing non-tariff measures. And just a plug, on September 30, we'll have another webinar on non-tariff measures, focusing on food as an essential item. This will be on September 30, and we'll also invite you to this webinar. And then second to the last slide, Ms. Jeanne, enhanced policies. So in support of e-commerce, we are looking at the Internet Transactions Act, which is now pending in Congress. So we are advocating for the passage of this policy, and we're also looking at amending the e-commerce law, Public Service Act, Retail Trade Act, Foreign Investment Act, and even the Telecommuting Act for work from home arrangements, open access in data transmission, which all have to do with enhancing ICT and digital service. So, and spectrum management, and even the procurement of cloud system by the government. So finally, related directly to physical movement of goods, aside from the scan dashboard that I've already discussed earlier, is enhancing the inter-island connectivity, because our islands will have to find market to their supply of goods too, and produce to bigger markets, not necessarily in Luzon, but within the Visayan region. And to do this, we need to expand our road RoRo network system. So to be able for farmers and fisher folks to basically produce and transport efficiently their products. And right now we are in discussion with ARTA for the Nehemiah project, because we are basically advocating for the reduction or elimination of these LGU stickers that basically, again, hampers the smooth movement of goods and unnecessarily increases the cost, because LGUs are imposing these so-called pass-through fees. Okay, so let me end on a positive note by quoting Dr. Villegas, my former dean at the University of Asia and the Pacific. He says, in these very uncertain times, we have to focus on lasting trends instead of getting distracted by temporary blips. So what are the lasting trends? Well, according to him, Oxford Economics 2019 lists the Philippines as one of the 10 leading emerging markets. And then Hong Kong Shanghai Bank's top economies by 2050 ranks the Philippines as 16th. Okay, and this our ranking has improved from 27th a few years back. And then the Economist's Emerging Economies also ranks Philippines 6th in terms of financial strength. So we are now seeing some early signs of economic recovery. Manufacturing seems to be on a rebound. Export is also on a rebound. And it's good to note that our unemployment rate now improves. And these are good signs, especially as we approach the Christmas season. Okay, so these are the possible industries that are supposedly viable based on the study that was done by RESPOND. Even during this time of pandemic. Of course, agriculture, which is posting a positive growth rate. Related to that is food manufacturing. Also because raw materials come from the basic agriculture fishery sector, then processed by the manufacturing sector, particularly the food processing sector. Basic health services because of COVID, pharmaceutical products because of the pandemic, chemical even, including alcohols and all these disinfectants, wearing apparel, including the PPE sectors. In fact, we are helping also the Department of Trade and Industry for the development of our own PPE manufacturing and exporting sector. And down the line, you have land transport, communications, definitely, which supports our online business transactions, logistics, and retail trade. And with that, I end my presentation. But before I go, let me just thank my wife and my daughters, who are the real experts on the topics that I just explained to you, because I had to interview them. They are the ones who do the online shopping. My participation is very minimal, only to provide the funds. So with that, thank you.
Thank you very much, Henry. I have one quick clarificatory question from the audience.
Go ahead.
And it's actually is the C2C in the C2C model. Who will do the control of the product quality or standards?
Okay. For the SMEs, so because these are formal institutions, okay, so they may have been there even before the lockdown, right? So they have been registered with the government, particularly the Department of Trade and Industry. So they follow already certain product standards, right? So what is the concern right now, especially of DTI, for example, is the prevalence of what I refer to as the informal supply chain. So which we, unfortunately at this time, we don't know the kind of product standard in terms of quality and safety is being followed. So it's a real concern, Jeanne. So
yes.
It's a real concern.
One of the members of the audience.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much, Henry.
Right. Thank you.
And thank you for foreshadowing
the
topic of the October Kapihan webinar,
Yes.
which is making online business work for women MSMEs.
Right.
I shall now call on our panelists, which include an LGU-based lawyer, 2 entrepreneurs, and 2 from the logistics industry. First, I shall call on Attorney Fydah Marie Sabando, or Fydah, who is currently affiliated with the Iloilo City Mayor's office as a focal person for COVID-19 discrimination issues. As local legislative officer, she is privy to the directives of the Iloilo City government under the leadership of Mayor Jerry Pitreñas, legislative policy making, local initiatives, and other strategies of the city government in its fight against COVID-19. As a lawyer, she advocates and mobilizes support for anti-discrimination policies and strives to raise awareness to empower communities. Fydah?
Naka-unmute din. Thank you, Ms. Jeanne. A pleasant afternoon to all. First of all, I would like to extend the thanks of course, our good Mayor, Mayor Cherry P. Treñas, for inviting us and for giving us this opportunity to share our initiatives, especially to our MSMEs in this unprecedented time. So let me, hello? Hello po? Yes po. So let me start off siguro with what Mayor Cherry P. Treñas has always reminded us all that, you know, as a proactive leader, he says na, and I quote, we must accept the fact that the virus is still there, but we must also move forward without compromising the health and the safety of the people. And coming from the LGU, Iloilo City, which is one of the most business-friendly local government unit in 2019, we'd like to share with you this afternoon our efforts in assisting women, MSMEs, in moving their goods during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, of course, the Iloilo City has buckled down to work in an effort to bring back the economy, making the businesses alive again, premised on the fact that we as an LGU are actually dependent on local taxes. So we are actually facing challenges, especially so that, right, just yesterday, we have already shifted again from MGCQ to MECQ. We have to adopt the MECQ because of the rapid increase in confirmed cases and local transmission. So, suffice it to say, the community quarantine status of Iloilo City, we as a highly urbanized city, it rests with the IATF. Hence, with the leadership of Mayor Treñas, he always assures that he decides proactively, fast, and decisive. And so with this, we limit our regulation to border restrictions to afford the proper implementation of health protocols. So border restrictions, that would mean extensive expenses and budgetary challenges because we are limiting the movement of people and realigning our focus to, as an LGU, to testing, to COVID testing laboratories, diagnostics, because alongside with trying to jumpstart the economy, first and foremost, the mindset of the LGU is always to deliver the health services and ensure the safety of its residents, of its constituency. And so this directly affects businesses, especially that leads to closure of businesses and limitation with their operational capacities. So notwithstanding to echo the concern cited also by Dr. Henry that and Ma'am Carmen with regards to logistics as to public transport. So all these considerations affect our confidence build up to encourage new investments. As I have previously mentioned, Iloilo City is dependent on local taxes. So we have to really complement and balance our efforts with our ensuring the strict implementation of our health protocols, as well as also safeguarding our businesses, because we have as what I've said, as a business-friendly LGU, it is also our foremost concern and objective to ensure that we are supporting our local businesses. So we have to consider the mobility restrictions on consumer goods and, of course, market access, because we are trying to close down or limit the operational capacity of many categorizations of markets. And also, the restrictions on pedestrian traffic due to localized lockdowns, because here in Iloilo City, we are composed of various barangays, and so the good mayor has always inclined his directives to localize the lockdowns, because he is always considering that not to fully close the businesses and to cease their operations, given that we are already trying to jumpstart with our economy from the lockdown, which was earlier started in March, even if we only had 2 cases back then in March. But yet, the mayor has always reminded the constituency of Iloilo City that with the cooperation of every constituent to comply with our health protocols, that will also really help our business sectors. So responding to that, again, to reiterate, we really ensure strict compliance, and we ensure the essential services and delivery of essential goods are not hampered. So this is the premise na we are already dependent with the IATF guidelines and resolutions. So we have to align our directives with that. And so we always ensure that the goods are not hampered. So we issue food passes. We make sure that the essential delivery of foods or of services and of goods are not delayed. So we give these sectors food passes. Also, we encourage our business groups to take their part and donate cash and kind, in cash or in kind. And this one I would really like to highlight, no, the alternative market venues to showcase the goods of our local producers. Because, like for all, one of the primary sources of the local transmission here was the fish markets. And so the mayor, the good mayor, decided in his best discretion, to decongest the city. And so he initiated alternative market venues to actually put in the presence of the local businesses na maging compliant din yung locational venues ng markets na to, na hindi magse-cease yung operations nila. Also, we are encouraging digital marketing partnerships to converge the SMEs to centralize their resources to increase their digital presence for potential business opportunities. As I would later on present to you na the mayor himself is trying to project the efforts and the projects of the local businesses sa online, sa kanilang digital presence. So we want it to make it collaborative, the LGU as well as the other forged partnerships of the local businesses. Also, we render assistance through online product promotion and tie-ups with local couriers, like we have local Maxim, Palihog, aside from Food Panda and Grab, which are service providers here already in Iloilo City. And of course, we always reiterate the contactless, to follow the protocols for contactless pick up and delivery. Considering that, realizing that, talagang also nag-shift na din yung Iloilo City with the online market or digital market-based system. And of course, we encourage our local businesses to promote cashless trade through the local enterprise and investments promotions office, as well as we are also shifting our payments of taxes through online in compliance with the ARTA and of course the Ease of Doing Business Act. So snippets lang siguro of how we have survived, how we've been tagged as the Wakanda of the Philippines. I think one of the, here in Iloilo, as you can see, a lot of businesses closing down and operating at less than 50%. So we're trying to, through the efforts of the city government, the volunteer workers, we have provided them employment. No, the people are trying to provide healthy meals to our Ilonggo families. So this initiative actually works both ways because we're also able to source out products of local SMEs and farmers, as well as we provide, of course, quality food for those barangays under localized lockdowns. Also, we have here the initiative of the good mayor to turn the La Paz market to a bagsakan market. No? So this is what I was telling you about alternative market locations to help decongest the city. Yun nga kasi we are trying to consider the new normal, the shift to new normal, and the physical distancing protocols. So the mayor is trying to survey for proposed locations for bagsakan markets that could help decongest the city, as well as help our SMEs and farmers and local businesses to market their fresh produce. And of course, to help them generate income while we are sustaining operations of this COVID-19 crisis. And also we have, next slide please. Yes, as you can see, yan, a perfect example na si Mayor talaga yung active in trying to promote local markets, no, mga projects ng local markets, especially like today. Today is the first startup of the Iloilo Market 2020. So yun, because the mayor really recognizes the devastating effects of COVID-19. So he is the one who is really sponsoring these partnerships of PCCI, the Philippine Chamber of Commerce, Iloilo, many other organizations to, of course, support our local businesses and to encourage patronage of local products. And lastly, ayun, yung Mercado Iloilo, ito yung sinasabi kong mga alternative market venues because the mayor realizes that talagang with sanitation concerns of markets, we have limited our time, you know, to until 5 p.m. only, effective today, effective yesterday. So we are trying to provide alternative market venues such as Mercado Iloilo. This was put up at the Iloilo Convention Center. So para at least ma-observe talaga yung physical distancing, and of course, to help, of course, our SMEs to cope with their financial challenges, to provide a venue for them to showcase their products. Okay, last slide pa ba ako? Nakalimutan ko kung Ayun. So with that po, so with that, I hope I have been able to actively share with you the initiatives of the Iloilo City with regards to women SMEs move their goods during this COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Fydah. Now we have two entrepreneurs, one from Bohol and another from Antique. Now, Crispina Singh, or Pina, is a computer engineering graduate and owner of Crissander Enterprises, which specializes in manufacturing of home and fashion accessories made of wood. She also manages the second OTOP Philippines hub of Bohol province, where they showcase and sell local delicacies, crafts, and souvenirs from different MSMEs in the country. Pina?
Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Ma'am Jeanne. So once again, I am Crispina, and I am the owner of Crissander Enterprises. So I will just share with you what we experienced during the pandemic. Crissander, as what mentioned with Ma'am Jeanne, we really specializes in manufacturing fashion accessories. As you can see at my back, so these are our products. We have wooden necklaces and earrings. We also make souvenir items and personalized gift items which are made of wood. And our products are mostly, the source of our products, the wood, are just sourced locally. We use some scrap wood veneer, which we source from Cebu and like also in Manila. We market our products nationally. We join different national trade fairs with the help of the DTI and the Great Women. We're really very thankful of them because they are really there to help us build our market. We also do export our accessories, particularly earrings. We also market our products in the export. We have an African American market. We also sell through social media. Before the COVID, we already started selling in social media account, but we don't focus that much because we tried to build our physical store, which last year we really opened our souvenirs store last September 19. And with the partnership of the DTI, we're very privileged that our store were converted to one town, one product, which showcasing fashion locally made product in the Philippines. When the COVID happened last March, we're really having hard time because we're not prepared on it because it just came all of a sudden. And we have orders that are being canceled, and our products are not considered online, so we don't have sales or no sales happening in the store since most people are buying food and other PPEs for themselves. We tried to develop our online store, which I mentioned earlier that we don't focus much because with no tourists coming in the store. We tried to build our online presence, but still the market is very slow because maybe for the reason that fashion accessories are really not essential in this time, and plus the delivery really takes time. Just to send an items within the Philippines area will take 3 to 4 weeks before it will arrive to the buyer. Unlike before COVID, the normal delivery time is only 1 to 2 days. So with very little or no sales, I was thinking that if I'm going to wait for the normal things to happen, I think we really end up closing, and the saddest part will be my workers will lose their job, and as much as possible, I really don't want that to happen, especially in this hard time. So what we did was we reached to our expert customers and asked them what products can we offer to them aside from our fashion accessories, which we don't order anymore because having also hard time in selling in the USA. So they suggested us to make fashion face masks for them with the African prints on it. Since this is not our product line, we collaborated with the hub producers, those producers of bags in the hubs. So we collaborated with them together with the shops doing the sublimation prints to produce a face mask which has an African print on it, like this. Like mostly is there's an Africa. If you can see, there's an Africa design in the face mask. So we were able to produce a face mask, but our main problem is on how to transport these products to USA on time. Because just to send products in Philippines, like starting March during the lockdown, it will take time just to arrive there. And before the COVID, we already partnered with the UPS for our international shipment. Even though there is no UPS office in Bohol, but they are partnered also with R21. Like we're just going to drop our items in the R21, and then, or sometimes the R21 will just going to pick up our items, and then we will just going to send the items in the USA. But with the lockdowns and with the COVID happen, the R21 don't have outbound, like they don't have a fixed schedule for their outbound flight because they're just waiting for the flights that's going to come in Bohol. And even right now, there's still no commercial flight coming in Bohol. So they cannot give, they can accept, but they cannot give an assurance when they can deliver the products. So what we did was we talked to the UPS office if they can, what we can do so we can send it properly. So they asked us to, if there's a way to drop the items in their store, I mean their office, then they can give us an assurance that the products will arrive in the USA on time. Thankfully, the cargo ship going to Cebu and Bohol are still okay. Like there's no restriction for cargo ship. So we tried to look for someone who can manage our items in the UPS office. So we know a porter, we just know once. We know, we tried to contact this guy working in the Cebu port if he can receive our product and drop the UPS office. It's scary at first because we don't know him much, but thankfully everything goes fine. So we drop our items in the UPS office, and in just 4 to 7 days, the shipments already arrived in the USA, and we were able to, to date we were able to we already able to send around 100,000 pieces of face masks in the USA. So that's our COVID experience on our logistic problem and handling our product.
Thank you very much, Tina. I think what was important is how one particular entrepreneur was able to pivot from the usual product to another product using the same supply chain. Okay, for our next panelist, we have Lorena Navallasca from Antique. She is the manager of Balay Kausawagan Resource Center, a community-based enterprise of marginalized farmers and women in the Panay Island. She is a DTI accredited mentor for the Kapatid Mentor Me program, which aims at helping MSMEs scale up their business through weekly coaching and mentoring by business owners and practitioners on different functional areas of entrepreneurship. These sessions were usually held in negotiation centers in various parts of the country. Lorena has also been a community developer for 25 years. Lorena? I'm sorry, Lorena, we can't hear you.
Ay, sorry.
Unmute? Yeah, okay. Good.
Good afternoon, everyone. Maraming salamat sa pag-imbita sa akin para sa webinar na ito. I would like to share our experience, the enterprise experience regarding in relation to what are the effects of COVID-19 in our enterprise. So our enterprise is called Balay Kausawagan Resource Center, and this is located in Bagong Bayan, Antique. And we are a community-based enterprise where most of the members are women who are engaged in organic or natural farming practices. So the vision of our enterprise is a progressive and sustainable social enterprise for the well-being of its stakeholders. Next, please. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, we have our local and national market. At the local level, we have these pasalubong centers operated by private and local government units. We are also in providing supply to supermarkets, and also we are also engaging or selling our products during trade fairs. At the national level, we also join trade fairs. We have our institutional buyers. Most of them are our partner civil society organizations. And also we have friends and individuals particularly in Manila. During the COVID, the pre-COVID also, we are trying to move our goods or our products through deliveries, maximizing our local transport. We have one delivery transport, and for other deliveries, sometimes we hire private or public transport. At the national level, we maximize couriers like the LBC, the GRS, or other couriers. Also, we also tap the roll-on, roll-off, or the RORO, Manila to through Caticlan, and going to San Jose. And in Manila, we have agreed pick-up points for the deliveries. Next, please. During the pandemic, similar to the experience of other entrepreneurs, we had many difficulties encountered, especially when our government had mobility restrictions that was also implemented at the local level. So during the pandemic, we experienced drying up of our raw materials for production, especially that our raw materials are coming from the upland barangays of Antique by our upland women farmers, and some of them are indigenous people. Also, local orders cannot be delivered because we are being restricted for the mobility. We also experienced drying up of orders from outlets and individual or institutional buyers, or even our pending orders were canceled by the institutional buyers because we cannot deliver the goods. Also because we had a difficulty of keeping workers on board, and also paying taxes because this resulted to drying up of our reserve funds. Hindi naman siya kailangan na yung mga key workers mo ay bibitawan mo kaagad, so kailangan gamitin namin yung aming reserve funds. So unti-unti yung mga reserve funds ay nauubos na. Next please. Dahil doon, after nang nag-declare na ang aming probinsya or the whole Panay Island was declared as under the general community quarantine na, so medyo hindi na mahigpit ang mobility, pero limited pa din at kailangan pa din na mag-comply kami with the minimum health protocol. So continuing pa rin yung mga challenges namin in relation to marketing platforms. So gusto man namin na mag-online selling, yun nga, yung very limited ang aming skills, limited ang people to handle the platforms. Kaya may constraints pa rin kami to access these platforms. Medyo nahihirapan na din kami accessing services from the government dahil ang most ng government offices are under skeletal working arrangement. Also, kung may mga online platforms din na pwede namin gamitin, challenge pa rin siya dahil kailangan pa rin yung local transport na i-maximize para mag-pick up or mag-deliver ng mga products. At dahil rural areas, ang very limited lang ang mga internet-based na transport facilities. So kaya kailangan pa rin siya yung face-to-face at kailangan pa din ang mag-comply sa limited mobility na requirements ng ating government. So, yung aming experience dito ay hanggang ngayon ay yun pa din yung problema ng aming enterprises.
Yeah.
So, yun na lang siguro ang aking pwede ma-share.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lorena, for underscoring whilst platforms, marketing platforms, online platforms can work for many entrepreneurs. Some were actually located outside of the Cebu, Davao, or Manila can find it difficult actually to use it most effectively. Now we shall go to our two panelists who come from the logistics industry. And one was actually mentioned by Pina, and that is Air 21. So our next panelist is from Air 21. She is Maria Rhona Begonia, or Rhona, who is the Air 21 Director for Sales and Customer Service. She earned her bachelor's degree from Adamson University and is a graduate of the Ateneo de Manila's Executive Development Program for Supply Chain Management. She has over 15 years of experience in the logistics industry, covering sales, customer service, and operations. She is also an entrepreneur, and most importantly, she is a mother of two. Rhona?
Thank you very much, Ms. Jeanne, for the introduction. No, talagang tama po. Pinaka-importante yung huling nasabi ninyo ay mom of 2 beautiful daughters. Yan po. So good afternoon again to the organizer, fellow panelists, MSMEs, and all the attendees. So we have representative from different sectors, and I'm tasked to represent the private sector as a third-party logistics provider. So Dr. Basilio mentioned that one of the major challenges encountered by MSMEs is the transport of goods. And I'll be sharing with you first-hand experiences we encountered brought about by this pandemic, as it's very evident that logistics was seriously disrupted. So, and also before I started my presentation, I would like to thank Ms. Crispina. Thank you for using Air 21 and UPS for your transport requirement. May commercial pa po ano. So, to start lang, I'll just... Opo. So, maraming salamat na natulungan po kayo ni UPS to transport your good. UPS is actually our partner for international delivery. So outside Philippines, because Air 21 is for local lang po, so within the Philippines. So I'll have lang here 2 slides just to give a background about who Air 21 is, for those who doesn't know our company yet. So next slide, please. So by the numbers, we are already, actually that's 41 years innovating logistics solution, which is celebrated our 41st anniversary last June. So we have 5 major hubs located nationwide to cover NCR, South Luzon, North Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, with over 100 plus Air 21 retail branches. No, the one that Ms. Crispina mentioned a while ago, where dinadala nila yung shipment nila, that's one of our retail branches. We have over 1,000 employees nationwide, 220 plus trucks here in NCR, 40 plus tractor heads, and we handle 15,000 deliveries or 24,000 packages every day. So what are the services being offered by Air 21, or the solutions we can provide our clients? We have the door-to-door delivery, air and sea freight, warehousing, pick and pack crating, trucking, and backhaul. So I'm not going to go through all of that. I just wanted to give you a background of who Air 21 is. And now I'll be sharing with you our challenges during this pandemic. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'll be focusing on actually three areas in lockdown, last mile challenges, air and sea freight and transfer limitations, and the workforce and labor shortage. Next, please. Okay, for the workforce challenges, it's actually labor shortage. Again, when the ECQ was announced and implemented, we have our #1 problem is the transportation of our employees. So what we did, we provided shuttle to them. We converted, for those who doesn't want to, who's having a hard time going in and out of their barangays or municipality, we converted some of our office area to a staff house or a lodging area. We did rapid and swab testing to our employees, provided free meals, hazard fee, weekly incentive fee, and some manpower rationalization. So we need to do this as a company, as a private sector, because these are just one of ways on how to encourage them to work to minimize the service disruption. Next. For the air and sea freight and transfer limitations, Dr. Basilio mentioned also during in his presentation the suspension of commercial flights and black space allocation. Hence, there's really a capacity reduction. So the problem in transporting goods from Metro Manila NCR to different provinces in Visayas and Mindanao, wala talagang commercial flights. So walang loading, walang way to transfer it except by launching our own chartered flights. Again, to minimize service disruption. So we consolidate different shipments, packages, and we need to meet a minimum 9 tons for us to transport all the goods. But then again, this translates to a higher freight cost Because before, we used to just co-load in the commercial flights and pay for the black space allocation, but now we are paying for the whole flight. And we also resorted to Ro-Ro transfer, or the roll-on, roll-off, for our different provincial destinations. And surprisingly rin po, no, there's an increase of warehousing requirement because the client started opening warehouse or distribution center in major provinces like Cebu and Davao, so that because before their DC used to be here in Metro Manila, and since there's a seamless process already in transferring their goods or replenishment of their products from Metro Manila up to Holosulu or to Davao, Cagayan de Oro, Cebu, there's no need during those period, an additional warehouse or distribution center. But because of this pandemic, because of the shortage of supplies, and again, the limitations on how to transfer goods, some of our clients started opening warehouses in these different locations. So like for Cebu, to transport deliveries within intra or enter Cebu, and Davao for Mindanao. Next. And then for the last mile or yung transportation challenges, this is yung via land natin. So we are encountering a lot of areas locked down. Not to mention no, na what you hear from the news is actually different from what is really happening or what is really being implemented. So different LGUs, different barangays, municipalities, they have different restrictions, different rules that we need to follow and adhere to. So we even encountered mga tightened health inspection. Our drivers, our couriers are required to show proof that they have undergone rapid or swab testing to prove that they are negative or not infected with the virus. Again, requirement also of different certifications and permit. And also, this resulted to longer delivery lead time. So, in effect, we changed our service level agreement with our clients and with our customers. So, our lead time was actually affected. So, like for example, for NCR, we used to deliver next day, but we were forced to adjust it to 1 to 3 days because of these challenges. So what are the things that we are doing? So just to give you lang basic of what's happening, no, considering the new normal that we have now. So there is a shift of focus in the industry and more service offering to clients. Because Air 21, we used to handle a lot of corporate accounts, so B2B. And for the backhaul program, for the MSMEs, again, it's always B2B, no? So there's a transitioning from B2B to B2C. Hence, we increased our resources from dati maraming trucks, ngayon mas marami na ang mga motorcycle couriers. So by the way, we have an opening. So if you have referrals po, please do let us know, because there's really an increase of demand for motorcycle couriers as we cater to a lot of e-commerce, a lot of MSMEs right now. We also have, as mentioned, revision on our existing service level agreement with our customers and strengthening our partnership with our suppliers and delivery agents, because not the whole Philippines are served directly by Air 21. So some of the provinces are being handled by our delivery partner and agents, and they themselves are having challenges as well in doing their transport in their areas. So we are really strengthening that partnership as well. So that's it for Air 21.
Thank you very much, Rhona. Now we go to our last panelist, and the second from the logistic industry. I'm happy to introduce to you Curay, who is the Executive Director of the Social Chain Management Association of the Philippines, or SCMA, a partner of UPPAF-RESPOND in the Supply Chain Analytics Network e-Forum. Cora has more than 30 years of supply chain and logistics management experience and once worked for Coca-Cola bottlers, handling national logistics, procurement, and materials management. She is currently president and CEO of XVC Logistics and chairperson and president of its tech arm, Insights SCS. She served as past president of Supply Chain Management Association of the Philippines for many years before she took on the job of executive director. Cora?
Magandang hapon sa lahat ng mga frontliners, especially the women at mga partners ng mga frontliners. Good afternoon. Thank you, Jeanne, for the introduction. And special thanks. Special thanks to our good friend, Dr. Enrico Basilio, for that very interesting and very comprehensive report. And thank you for that note that there's now an early sign of economic recovery. Thank God. So it's my privilege to share ISIMAP perspective and how ISIMAP and our company are addressing logistics-related challenges constrained due to the pandemic, and how ISIMAP have helped MSME women during these extraordinary times. For the benefit of those who don't know ISIMAP, ISIMAP, or Supply Chain Management Association of the Philippines, is the premier organization in the country, composed of about 239 members, including those from the 3 chapters, Visayas, North Luzon, and Mindanao. Members are mostly manufacturers, retailers, logistics providers, and other supply chain stakeholders. ISIMAP membership includes not only the biggest multinational companies in the economy, but also the MSME players, those suppliers of materials, products, and services to the multinational companies. This is practicing the big brother and a small brother concept. ISIMAP is guided by its 3 pillars: the advocate, communicate, and educate. And one of its main pillars is advocate. ISIMAP advocate policy reform that will strengthen and improve supply chain management by collaborating with the government and by building a network of partners to further ISIMAP causes. Never been in the 31 years of ISIMAP existence has our advocacy pillar been pushed at many fronts during this pandemic. Next slide, please. Let me give you an account of how our members have clawed our way out and continuously working on it. Even before the pandemic, we experienced the Taal eruption. We also experienced the ESF virus outbreak. And many of the ISIMAP members, as a proactive move, and the other manufacturers revisited their business continuity plan and putting new measures in place to ensure both the safety of the workforce and the continuous ability to provide goods and services to these customers. The first 2 weeks of quarantine was a bit chaotic and confusing, as was mentioned earlier by other panelists. Mobility was limited for all transport mode, be it land, air, and sea, for the South Philippines customers, and either using earlier, as mentioned, the RoRo or the containerized shipments. And it's very challenging, especially for the logistics provider serving an archipelagic economy. There were restrictions and checkpoints, and these were aggravated by the inconsistent application of the guidelines of the roads and ports. This resulted to less ships, less flights, less truckers, and less supply in the market. So a concrete example, there were delays which resulted to higher rates for some transport providers due to longer turnaround time, as turnaround time or the number of turns or trips is the key cost driver. I think truck ban is a bad idea. If we have to say that the trucks has to be unhampered or to be in continuous mode. So if we say that logistics and specifically transport is the wheel of the economy, then we have these trucks and deliveries moving. So what was the action of the government and the other organizations like EasyMap? Our government acknowledges the importance of keeping supply chain moving amidst the crisis. Excuse me, I have to do. Amidst the crisis created, the IATF to solve not only the movement, but the other issues due to COVID-19. It also brought together the supply chain stakeholders under the LSPH umbrella, led by the DTI ASIC Jeanne Pacheco, ensuring that our collective concerns are addressed. In fact, EasyMap was part of the drafting of the updated IATF guidelines of the Joint Task Force representing the logistics and supply chain together with the DTI, the LLG, PNP, and AFP. As you see, we have the EasyMap President-elect Carlo Curay, who happens to be of same name as mine, was interviewed by ANC with regards to the IATF guidelines on unhampered deliveries. An on-hand experience of our ex-BC logistics is when we did the cement logistics for a vessel loaded of 650,000 bags of imported cement, which arrived at the height of the pandemic, and which was docked at the Subic port for discharge and for delivery to the North Luzon warehouses and customers. And thankfully, our government through IATF provided immediately clarity on restrictions, that it's not for the unnecessary travel of passengers, but and not for the cargo movement of essential goods like food, medicines, and construction materials and the like. Next slide. So we now navigate the new normal. In about 2 to 3 weeks, EasyMap members have reported less difficulty across their supply chain, and the IATF ID was of a great help. Members are slowly adjusting to the new normal on social distancing, the work from home arrangement, which is a bit challenging for the logistics providers for those areas with internet issues and the need to shuttle people to the work areas due to the lack of public transport. Because of the restriction, economy was down, as outlined by Dr. Henry earlier. Volume of truck movements and shipments were down. Operating costs were up due to the reduced capacity and the required health protocols, not at source, in transit, and at the destination ports. MSMEs belonging to the non-essential category are hardest hit with much less or no revenue. Though logistics or transport providers are considered essential, they also suffer due to the reduced volume and the increasing cost. We now have seen many businesses embrace e-commerce, as explained by Henry earlier, in a bid to continue serving their customers while malls are closed and mobility are restricted. And the government has been pushing for a wider use of e-commerce. And one government initiative is the e-delivery, Deliver E, outlined earlier by Dr. Henry, is the use of a digital platform to connect the farmers, the transporter, and the consumers, just like the Gulay ng Bayan and curative city farms are into. Many now are budding entrepreneurs, and many are women anong meron sa women, why they are successful in the business. They may have a special qualities and natural strength of women that made them succeed in business. So do you agree with that? All women in the house, of women in the online. So we have here a sample of women leaders in logistics. We have, do you know that in the male-dominated logistics industries, many companies or organizations soar high under the wings of women leaders? And from the government, one comes to mind is the DTI ASEC Jeanne Pacheco, who is now heading the e-commerce and logistics. And the private sector, one who stands out is Doris Ho of Magsaysay Shipping. And of course, hindi naman magpapahuli ang aming ISIMA president, our beautiful Christine Pardinas. At nasama na rin ako dyan. So, and there could be many more in this list who also are established, who have established their names in the logistics industry. The next slide, please. So, how do ISIMAP help? And still helping MSME women transport these goods. This is through our ISIMAP pillars, which I mentioned earlier, the advocate, communicate, and educate. For the advocate pillar, we are part and advocated the LSPH 10 commitment of the Philippine logistics sector for its objective to transform the logistics service sector in the Philippines. This was detailed earlier by Henry about the transformation of the logistics industry and the advocacies that were pushed. So he mentioned about the pass-through fees that will now be eliminated. We also is supporting the national transport policy of the government. For the communicate, we update our members of the supply chain challenges, the government regulations, the guidelines from the IITF, and the other supply chain development. We also communicate trends, ideas, best practices, and innovation. For the educate, we partnered with the Go Negosyo Mentor Me program, and one of our panelists is also a member of that. We collaborated with TESDA for the formulation of national certification for logistics and warehousing personnel. Mm-hmm. These are the Butugero, including the forklift operators, truckers, and So we also have our own workshops and events. ISIMAP's own workshop and events, and we now is even offering free seminars and forum. ISIMAP recently host an online forum with government leaders who are leading the fight against COVID, and no less than Cabsec Nograles and Carl Chua and the one from DOH. That's the ISIMAP way of enabling small and medium companies help companies smaller than them. So we are now, next slide. We are in extraordinary times. Next slide. And we need to adopt extraordinary measures. Women, I'm talking to women, we need to reboot our business models. We need to rethink, we need to restart. But we are in this together, and together we can bounce back better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Cora. Now, we will, like last time, we will go a little over time if the participants will allow me, so that we can ask the panelists and Henry some questions that were actually posed by participants when they registered. Okay, I have several questions here for our logistics panelists, for Henry, and entrepreneur also for Fydah. But there is one question here for Carmen, which I think should be asked. Do women entrepreneurs face challenges related to logistics during the pandemic, which are not faced by male entrepreneurs? Do you have any data from your survey about this, Carmen?
Hi, Miss Jean. With regards to the difference, no, in the majority or 90+% of the respondents of our survey are women. So when we looked at the data, compare the data between the differences in to the answers of the women and male respondents, we didn't see significant differences. So both encountered the same challenges in terms of logistics. I think it's all because everyone, male or female, were all locked down during that time. So that's from the survey that we had.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carmen. Now there is a question here for Henry, and this is actually a question which can be answered by Henry, and Fydah can jump in. How is the interoperability between LGUs and concerned agencies regarding passage of transport for delivery of products?
Okay.
Henry?
Yep. Thank you, Jeanne, no, and thank you for the one who raised that question. In fact, that is a long-standing issue that we've as early as 2008, no, and Cora knows about this when we were trying to have the to resolve the issues about RoRo, because the roll-on roll-off shipping is not only nautical shipping, no, it is both a combination or an intermodal connection between land and maritime, right? So a delivery that emanates from, let's say, Metro Manila, bound to any point in Mindanao, for example, will have to pass through Visayan Islands, right? Like if it's coming from Batangas, it will jump off to Mindoro, Panay Island, and then the Negros Island before it finally hits Mindanao via Dipolog or Dapitan. And then on the eastern side, from Matnog to Samar, and then crossing San Juanico Bridge to Leyte, and then to southern Leyte by land, and then until it finally hits Lipata in Surigao. And then you have the central seaboard too. No, but then try to imagine as the truck passes through all these provinces, no, many of these provinces, whether at the provincial level or at the municipal and city level, they impose stickers, no, so that these delivery trucks can pass through this. So we've been advocating that cargoes passing through, especially using national roads, must never be taxed locally, no, in terms of regulatory fees like these stickers that are being imposed by LGUs. No? In fact, as early as 2008 or rather 6, there was already a memorandum circular that was issued by DILG, no, to basically enjoining LGUs from imposing this regulatory tax pass-through fees on cargos. So, but then again, the implementation is another story, no? And that is basically what increases the cost, no? So cost multiplies because of this. And in my slide, I basically presented just the Manila to Calabarzon area. No, I'm not. The stickers that you saw there did not even include those from the other provinces outside of Luzon. So, but then again, from Manila all the way to any PEZA, for example, PEZA area in the Calabarzon area, you need already about something like 13 stickers. So and try to imagine the kind of cost that our logistics sector absorbs, and of course many of these costs will have to be passed on eventually, and that increases our cost for the consumers, for the end consumers, but also it undermines our competitiveness, global competitiveness, because if the products are for export, especially those coming from PEZA, so it basically adds to logistics costs. So that's why the advocacy, this is a long-running advocacy, is to really take out all these unnecessary fees, to make ourselves cost competitive, especially during this time of crisis.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Henry. Fydah, would you like to say something from the LGU point of view?
From the LGU's point of view po, just to add on what Sir Henny has already pointed out, siguro kasi as for Iloilo City,
We lost you.
We lost you, Fydah.
So,
can you repeat?
Hello,
we lost
po.
you, I think, somehow.
Ayun. Sorry. Hello po?
Yes.
Okay na po. Sorry. Yan. So with regards naman po to Iloilo City, just to add on what Sir Henny has already pointed out, kasi yung Iloilo City per se, we're really regional hub kami. So we have been really coordinating this with all other provinces in Panay. We have this initiative na One Panay, with the Iloilo province, who has jurisdiction to airports. Insofar as seaports are concerned here in Iloilo City, the good Mayor Jerry Pitreñas has always been firm na he wants talaga the goods unhampered, yung logistics ng goods. And with this, as I have premised on earlier kanina sa concern namin as an LGU, now we are dependent on local taxes. So in as much as we want to bumabawi kami as to incentives. So we give incentives, of course, to our local businesses transporting their goods, and we try to effectively implement the Ease of Doing Business Act na parang one-stop shop siya, or hindi na delay yung processing ng customs and all these taxes, which are of course relevant to the transport of goods na rin natin ng ating mga businesses. So yun po. So I think with proper coordination really, especially now in time of COVID, na limited nga yung commercial flights, cargos are always of utmost consideration sa amin. So properly coordinate lang ng mga logistics with the local government unit na end of destination ng goods. Yun po.
About yung cargo trucks, yung pumapasok sa cargo trucks, kailangan ba nilang merong Iloilo City sticker?
Yes po. Kasi meron po kaming dalawang ports na direct talaga na hindi siya in transit with Iloilo province or anywhere else. So direct po siya doon sa yung port of destination niya sa Iloilo City Port. So we really need to regulate po yung entry ng cargo trucks. Opo.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Now, Henry, do you want to respond to that again, or shall I go to another question?
Yeah, to another question, I think.
Okay.
There's one from Pamela Susara.
Sige. Will you answer that?
Okay, so the question of Pamela would just like to know if there is any government unit probably that provides subsidy for micro and small enterprises in terms of shipment and logistics of their goods. Perhaps a partnership with logistics or shipping companies to provide discount. Now, officially, part of my presentation kanina, one of the slides, I made mention about the department order that was issued by the Department of Transportation. And Department Order 007-2020 mandates domestic shipping lines to make available 12% of its cargo space for food and essential products, especially agricultural products. And domestic shipping lines are also enjoined to extend 40% discount on sea freight. So, but then again, there was an implementing rules that was issued to govern in terms of defining what is considered to be covered by the products that are covered by that department order. And I think the sub-task group on food value chain and logistics came up with guidelines in terms of defining what are considered to be essential, especially agricultural products that can avail of that subsidy that is being covered by that department order. But otherwise, yung sa Bayanihan 2 speaks of transport subsidy in general. So I think this pertains to the transport sector that will apply once the community quarantine is lifted and that the workers will start, going to factories and plants. So that transport subsidy, I think, is in general, not necessarily to goods and movement of goods.
Yeah, thank you. There are two questions here actually for Air 21 and SCMAP. Can costs in moving goods be lowered now that we are mostly on GCQ for areas under GCQ? Quick answer, please. Rhona and Cora. Now that you are in GCQ, can logistic cost be lowered?
Yes, Ms. Jeanne, to answer that, there has no significant rate increase on our part, except during the ECQ period, where we had to impose 20% surcharge for us to cover additional cost. But once we entered the GCQ, the 20% is no longer included. So we're back to the regular. Now we just have an additional rate per kilo for via air transfer, since commercial flights are still not available. Yes, and we are using sweeper and chartered consolidation flights.
Okay. Yeah, that's very good. Thank you very much, Rhona. How about Cora? Do you like to briefly answer that question too for your SCMAP members?
I agree with Rhona earlier that there is no significant increase except for the first 2 weeks. For the first 2 weeks, there was a premium rate for the transporters. But during this time, in fact, there are opportunities to reduce costs, as outlined by Henry earlier. Dr. Henry earlier, that there are moves from the government to reduce costs. One is the abolition of passport fees, pass-through fees. And the ease of doing business to be a reduction also in cost. The DOTR DO, there were 3 initiatives that could eventually lower the cost. And hopefully with this formal complaint that we raised to reduce the cost or eliminate other untimely and costly on the shipping side. So these are the opportunities to reduce costs even during this pandemic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cora. Now there is another question again from Rhona and Cora. Can a partnership be developed, say, by the Great Women Project, who works with women micro-entrepreneurs, with a shipping or forwarding company, where women MSMEs can avail of discounts when they ship their goods? So it's like having a special program for WMEs, for women micro-entrepreneurs. Is that something that can be envisioned or considered? at the association level, probably something, an issue that can be discussed, or in Air 21, a small program that can be developed?
Having a part, having a, I don't see that as a problem. Partnership with a forwarding company. Why not partner with a woman logistics company owned by women, as they I think they better understand the needs of women and the women entrepreneurs. And it mentioned about partnership with the shipping company. Yes, they can do that, except that I'm not sure if they'll be given a preferential rate because they are women. So,
Yes,
but seriously,
that can be
you can,
explored. Yeah.
yes, but seriously, you can partner with the freight forwarder in or a logistics company who has the volume to move, because they are given preferential rate by the shipping company. So
Okay.
you can ride on to that. So ang ano is wala namang magbabawal sa atin na makipag-partner. So it's just a matter of collaboration and a matter of negotiation with the right partner.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cora. How about Air 21? Ron, are you still there?
I'm sorry, I'm on mute. Yeah, naka-mute na po.
Yeah,
So
okay.
thank you for that question. Very timely rin because just for everybody's information, we have partnership with DTI for the Go Local, for Auto, also with ASIC Jeanne Pacheco, we just had a talk last week for Kain Na, the Control Bees program that they did. Also with DOST setup clients and Department of Agriculture, we already have an existing memorandum of agreement with them. And this is actually a very good avenue to offer it as well for our women MSMEs, because the target of this program are actually MSMEs. So for Go Local, for Auto, yes, even SITEM for our UPS partnership, we offered preferential rates for them, specific for MSMEs. And again, I would like to take this opportunity. Yes, let's include that also in the program. Let's extend it to our women MSMEs. So this is an advocacy of our chairman, Mr. Lina. And to highlight, our president is a woman also, Miss Maricris Campit. She's supposed to join us. So mas marami kaming babae sa company namin.
Grabe siya ba? Harap pa babae sa birth, no? Okay.
So, advocacy niya to help because he was once an MSME rin, no, from Laguna. Yan, nagbebenta yan ng mga mani, ng kung ano-ano, sumasakay ng bus para magbenta ng produkto niya. So this is his advocacy to assist. So we have preferential rates and we call it our backhaul MSME program. Wherein, just to give lang a brief background about it, we have different trucks leaving our main hub in Metro Manila, going to different provinces. So what we are offering is yung pong line haul pabalik, yung space going back to Metro Manila. Yes. For Luzon, specifically for Luzon, we have a 50% discount from our published rates that even our corporate accounts don't enjoy. So ano lang po itong preferential rates na ito for MSMEs exclusively.
Yeah, thank you very much, Rhona. So you can see Carmen smiling. Now, a question for Henry, actually, and also for Lorena and Pina. How do we make logistics easier to those in the remote areas that might have products that can compete even in the national market? Because much of the discussion has been like urban-centric. But how do you connect urban markets, as it were, to the very remote producers?
Yes, thank you. Who can I answer that first?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that question. And my answer is simple. No? So because you emphasize the term remote, no? So that means they are in a in a far-flung area, and therefore it's a function now of infrastructure. So that can provide the connectivity and access, no? Because they're isolated. So among islands, interconnectivity, so that the inter-island connectivity, which RORO more or less addresses, is part of the solution. But for landlocked areas, no, but it's just that they are on the last mile, perhaps. So road infrastructure is key to providing access. No? So that's why when Jeanne introduced me earlier, aside from Respond, we implemented the Compete before, so which was about 5 years ago. And one of the success stories of that Compete project is what is called the Tourism Road Infrastructure Program, which basically tried to provide the last mile connections to let's say tourism destinations. But at the end of the day, this may initially thought out as making sure that there's access to tourism sites. But these are also at the same time agricultural and manufacturing roads. So because part of our tourism work before was to say that if one municipality has the destination, meaning the waterfall or the tourist attraction, and then an adjacent municipalities does not have. So to have complementation, we said that this adjacent community can be a supplier community where they can provide and supply certain goods and products that can be consumed in the destination communities. So, and again, land connectivity is vital to that. So just to give you an example, for instance, in Bohol, which is an area where we used to heavily operate in, of course, it's a tourism area, which is heavy in Panglao, concentrated heavily in the Panglao Island. But Ubay, which is on the northern part, right, very close to Maasin already in southern Leyte, they produce a lot of Carabao's milk. And of course, not all of this output is consumed. So we said we can convert them into soap, a Carabao milk-based soap, which they can offer in turn to Panglao as to the resorts, and that's why we had an MOU with the Bohol Association of Resorts, Restaurants, and Hotels. So that the cooperatives in Ubay, which is again far from Panglao, can participate and benefit from tourism. So, and again, the connectivity between Ubay and Panglao is vital to that. So that's how we reach the hinterland. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. How about Lorena? Because Lorena deals actually the supply chain of Kausawagan Resources Center, involved actually people in the producers in the and suppliers in the upland. Lorena?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, yun ang pinaka-problema namin ngayon, especially that we are in the remote areas, dealing with people in the most remote areas. So I think yung habang wala pa, I agree totally with what Sir Basilio had said. Pero habang wala pa yung sinasabi natin na improve infrastructure, siguro tingnan din ng mga mga micro-entrepreneurs yung community mismo. Yung one community supplying the other communities. Kasi hindi yan kailangan ang mas sophisticated way of transporting goods. So kung nasa isang munisipyo ka, tingnan mo yung anong need ng munisipyo mo. Pagkatapos kung hindi very relevant ang service mo or your goods mo, you can also venture to other products para ma-respond mo yung need ng katabi mong municipalities or provinces. Gaya namin sa Panay, actually we are coordinating with the different provinces of Panay Island at we maximize our network, our mga institutions na partner namin. So, madali lang yun kung yung mga network na makikita sa mga various municipalities and provinces ay kausap mo. So, doon muna mag-start. Kasi ang hirap pag wala pang support infrastructure, mahirap talaga mag-move ng goods. Kaya parang sabi nga, thinking outside the box na lang muna for the small entrepreneurs kung paano makapag-survive. So, importante yung tinitingnan namin na small entrepreneurs ay satisfying the needs of your immediate community, mga neighbor muna natin. Kasi lahat naman ay nangangailangan, and try to look at the alternative products. Kung hindi pa muna saleable ang product mo ngayon, kung hindi pa siya basic product, so kailangan alternative product ka muna. So, yun siguro habang, and also, let us advocate from our government to also invest yung mga kailangan na support sa mga entrepreneurs, na small entrepreneurs, rural entrepreneurs. Kasi ngayon parang ang trend is the support is given to the consuming public. Yung mga sabi natin, mga hindi naman siya masama yung mga support for the 4-piece projects, pero sana equally bigyan ng importansya ang mga producers, ang mga rural entrepreneurs. Kasi medyo mahirap ngayon kumuha ng additional support from our government. Pero sana yun yung bigyan din ng magandang share in terms of support from our government na fund. So yun siguro ang nakikita namin at ngayon ginagawa namin.
Yes, thank you very much, Lorena. I remember Henry and I had a discussion about, do you remember the COVID-19? We're rethinking the market. What is your market now? Yeah. So parang nag-meet. Okay. Pina, would you like to say something? I have to wrap up the webinar in a few minutes. Pina, would you like to say anything? Because you also have your own supply chain of producers supplying you with your goods.
For our case, like most products are just sourced in our place, so I don't have too much problem in the logistic for my supply chains. The only I was having problem is to move the product to our buyers. But so far, with the help of but we were able to solve that problem through our networks, like sending, like the one that we did in our face mask, like we used the shipment from Cebu to Bohol, then Bohol to Cebu, then from Cebu to directly to the buyer. I mean.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Henry, Carmen, Cora, Rhona, Lorena, Pina, and Fydah for accepting our invitation to be part of the webinar today. Now comes the awarding of certificates, and okay, I will read only one certificate because it is the same for everyone except that the speakers and the panelists. Next slide, please, dear. Okay, the e-certificate read as follows. This is certificate of appreciation hereby presented to, in this case, Carmen, for imparting valuable insights as speaker in the WGDP webinar series on Women's Economic Empowerment #2, entitled Assisting Women as MSMEs Move Their Goods During the COVID-19 Pandemic, held on September 25, 2020. The signatory is Dr. Enrico Basilio. So Henry is not going to get a certificate.
Yeah. Signed.
Oh, yeah, only signed.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we will be giving this certification to everyone. So just will you show just roll so people will know, the panelists will know that they have. So Lorena will get a certificate. Next, please. Pino will get her certificate. And next, Rhona. Next. We have for Cora, and we have for Fydah. Okay. Oh, Fydah doesn't have one. Fydah, you have one. Don't worry. Now, before the announcements, I would like to acknowledge the technical support from the UPPAF-RESPOND team, especially Miriel Damsani, Yasmin Montenegro, Jubel Alzate, and Kirima Bagas. But before we close, we also have some announcements to make.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jeanne. For our first announcement, we're inviting everyone to our third WGDP webinar on women's economic empowerment entitled Making Digital Government Services and E-Commerce Work for Women MSMEs. This will be on the 4th Friday of October 23 at 2 p.m. Now on our second announcement, next slide please. Help us improve our webinars by answering our survey. We'll be posting the link on our chat box, but it will also be shared with you after the webinar. You may also scan the QR code on the screen using the camera of your smartphone. So thank you very much for joining us today. We hope to see you in our next webinar. Happy.
Okay. Thank you very much to everyone, and stay safe.
Thank you also.
And ingat lahat.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas daw.
Merry
Christmas na dito sa bahay
Thank you.
namin. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry
Lorena,
Christmas
thank
sa
you.
lahat.
Okay.
Okay.
Miss Cora, thank you.
Thank you din. Galing nun ah. Doc Henry, galing nun. Galing nung presentation mo.
Oh,